The 60-day buffer nobody tells you about when you're buying before you sell your current home. So if you're looking to buy a home when you also have a house to sell, watch this video first because there's a 60-day buffer built into every mortgage that nobody talks about. And it might be the difference between losing your dream home and actually getting it. Most families in Hamilton County who are trying to move up are either losing out to non-contingent buyers or they're so paralyzed by the fear of paying double mortgages that they never even make an offer. And here's the thing, the panic around timing isn't just stressful, it's costing you the home that you want while someone else who understands the game swoops in and takes it. You've been told that buying and selling at the same time is a coordination nightmare where one wrong move could mean financial disaster, but the truth is there's actually a built-in timeline advantage that removes that biggest fear. You just have to know it exists. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how to stop being the weakest buyer in the room, even when you have a house to sell. I'm gonna walk you through 3 different strategies that I've used myself and with clients of mine to turn what feels like a disadvantage into a coordinated process where you're not scrambling, stressed, and you're not gonna pay double mortgages for months on end. Because here's what I see all the time. Families who have outgrown their starter home in Fishers or Noblesville who have equity, who have the income, who are ready to move into that bigger home in Carmel or Westfield, but they're stuck. They're either too afraid to make an offer because they haven't sold their home yet, or they're getting beat out by buyers who don't have a house to sell. And while they wait, prices go up, rates change, and that perfect home they've been watching, someone else is living in it. So I know this because my wife and I went through this exact transition when we bought our current home. We had a house to sell, we were competing against other buyers, and I had to figure out how to make us the strongest offer without creating a financial disaster. So here's what I learned, and what most agents never explain to their clients is that the system actually has more flexibility than you think. You just have to know where to find it. Point number 1, you're already at a disadvantage, and here's why. If you have a house to sell, you're automatically the least attractive buyer. Even if your finances are perfect, you could have perfect credit, 20% down, and a 6-figure income, and you'll still lose to a buyer who doesn't have a house to sell. And here's why. When you submit an offer contingent on the sale of your house, you're asking the seller to wait on you, to trust your timeline, and to take on risk. And sellers don't like risk. They'd rather take a slightly lower offer from someone who can close without a contingency than a higher offer for someone who might fall through because their house didn't sell. And I've seen families in Hamilton County lose out on their dream home in Westfield because they wrote a contingent offer and someone else came in non-contingent. It didn't matter that they're offering more money. The seller picked certainty over the price. So if you're sitting there thinking, we'll just wait until we sell and then start looking, you're actually setting yourself up to lose in a competitive market. You need to be able to compete like a non-contingent buyer, even if you have a house to sell. And that's exactly what the next strategy does. Point 2, how to become a non-contingent buyer even when you're not. The strategy I used when I bought my current home without losing to non-contingent buyers. My wife and I had a house to sell, but we made an offer like we didn't. And here's exactly how we did it. Before you even start looking, talk to your lender and ask them this exact question. Can I qualify to buy the next house without selling the current one? And most families can. The lender will look at your income and your debt-to-income ratio, and if you can afford to carry both mortgages temporarily, they'll pre-approve you non-contingent. When my wife and I were buying, we did exactly this. We qualified non-contingent, meaning on paper, We could own both homes at once, but we didn't actually want to do that. So we set a 60-day closing timeline, which gave us enough time to list our house, accept an offer, and coordinate both closings so they happened at the same time. If something had gone wrong with our home sale, we still have qualified to buy, but that never happened because we built in that buffer. And this move made us the strongest buyer. We weren't asking the seller to wait on us. We weren't creating more risk for them. We looked exactly like a buyer with no house to sell, but we were coordinating everything behind the scenes. Now, even if you do this, there's still one fear that keeps people up at night. What if the closings don't line up perfectly like mine did? What if I end up paying 2 mortgages? And that's where the 60-day buffer comes in, and almost nobody knows about it. So point number 3, the 60-day buffer that nobody tells you about. The hidden timeline advantage that removes the fear of paying double mortgages. Your first mortgage payment isn't due until 60 days after closing, and that changes everything. Here's what most people don't realize. When you close on a home, your first mortgage payment isn't due for up to 60 days. So if you close March 1st, for example, your first mortgage payment isn't due until May 1st. And that's 2 full months before you're carrying 2 mortgages. So let's say you're in February and you want to get an accepted offer on your new home with a March 1st closing. You're not in a panic to sell your current house by March 1st. You actually have until May 1st before you're paying double. And that's a 60-day buffer that gives you time to list your house, get it under contract, and close without the nightmare scenario everyone's afraid of. Now, most agents are so focused on coordinating the exact closing dates that they forget to tell you about this extra cushion. But when you understand it, it completely removes that psychological pressure. You can list your home right after you go under contract with the new one, and you've still got 2 whole months to get it sold before double payments kick in. I've had clients close on their new home in early spring and not list their current house until a week later because they wanted to stage it properly and they're not in a rush. So they sold before that 60-day mark and they never paid double. The buffer gave them breathing room to do it right instead of in a panic. So point number 4, the one-time mortgage hack that lenders don't advertise. If you do end up buying before you sell, there's a one-time move that lets you adjust the mortgage without refinancing, and most lenders won't even tell you about it. Lenders hide this because they make no money on it. It's called recasting, and it could save you thousands. Most lenders will let you take a huge lump sum payment towards your principal balance, and then they'll recalculate your monthly payments and the amortization schedule one time for the life of the loan. And it's called recasting. So if you close on your new house and then sell your old house 2 months later, you can then take the proceeds from that sale to put a massive chunk towards your new mortgage and lower your monthly payment going forward. And this isn't a refinance. You're not going to pay closing costs twice, and you're not resetting your loan term. Most lenders might charge a small administration fee, and most of the time they don't. But they don't advertise it because they don't make any money on it like a refinance. So if you're someone who can qualify non-contingent and you're okay with owning both homes for a short period, recasting is your safety net. You buy the new home, then sell your old one, recast the loan with the proceeds, and now your monthly payment is lower than it would have been if you waited to sell first. You got the house you wanted without losing it to another buyer, and you're not house poor afterwards. So for families who are terrified of being stuck with 2 mortgages, knowing this option exists changes your entire psychology. You're not trapped. You have an exit plan, and that confidence is what lets you move forward when the right house comes up instead of hesitating and watching somebody else buy it. Point number 5, this isn't about perfect timing, it's about strategic coordination. Most people think the problem is timing, and it's actually not. It's that they're treating buying and selling like 2 separate transactions when they really should be treated like one coordinated process. You're not failing because your timing's off, you're failing because you're playing the wrong game. I see this all the time. Families who treat selling their home and buying like two separate events. They think, okay, we'll sell first and then we'll start looking, or they'll think, we'll find the perfect house and then we'll list ours. And both approaches create chaos. Either you're living with family temporarily and scrambling to find a home, or you're making offers you can't win because you haven't sold yet. The truth is, buying and selling at the same time isn't about the perfect timing. It's about the strategic coordination. You qualify non-contingent so you can compete. You set a closing timeline that gives you buffer room, and you list your house as soon as you go under contract, so you're not guessing. And you know about tools like recasting in case you need them as a safety net. When you approach it like a coordinated process instead of two separate gambles, the stress will disappear. This is how my wife and I did it. We didn't get lucky, we planned. And I've walked dozens of families in Hamilton County through this exact system. Families who were terrified of screwing it up, who were paralyzed by the what ifs, who ended up in their dream home in Carmel or Westfield without the nightmare they were expecting. You've been conditioned to think that buying and selling at the same time is inherently chaotic, but it's not. It's only chaotic when you don't have a system, but now you do. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, okay, this makes sense, but I still don't know if I can qualify non-contingent, or how to time my listing, or what my house is even worth right now, that's exactly the conversation that I have with families every single week. I work with established homeowners in Hamilton County who are moving up to a bigger home, and I walk them through this exact process so they're not guessing, they're not panicking, and they're not losing out to other buyers. So if that sounds like you, shoot me a message or drop me a comment, and let's talk about your specific situation. I'll tell you exactly what your options are. So just to recap, if you have a house to sell and you're trying to buy at the same time, you're at a disadvantage, but only if you play it by the old rules. The move is to qualify non-contingent so you can compete like a strong buyer, understand the 60-day payment buffer so you're not panicking about double mortgages, and know about strategies like recasting so you have an exit plan if you plan to buy before you sell. Now that you understand how to stop being the weakest buyer when you have a house to sell, you need to know the exact timeline to follow so you're not guessing your way through it. In my next video, I'm going to break down the step-by-step process from the day you decide to move to the day you close on your new house.